Guys, welcome to India today. This is truly exciting to get to speak to you both. I want to first ask you, is this your first trip to India? And if not, what have been your earliest memories of the country? Lior, you want to take this?
Yeah, so this is not my first time in India. I was here, I think, 14 years ago. I had a trip in the south of India, where we are now in Goa area, Hampi, Kerala. I had a motorcycle and I just traveled all over, and it was the best time of my life. I met so many interesting people, so many. I lived with a family in Hampi for a week or so. I went to all the temples. It was such an amazing spiritual experience for me. And when I came here, and Avi asked me why you're not sleeping in the car when we got in, and I said I need to see it again. I missed it so much. I missed this place and the people, and it's like to come back home, for me.
Absolutely. And Avi, are you somebody who also absorbs a lot from the people you meet, from the real life stories that you hear, from the characters that are in day and out of your real life? Because the show is so realistic. You literally feel like you've become a part of the life, of the struggle, of the chaos of those characters. Can you talk to me a bit about that process, Avi?
What we are trying to do in Fauda is to make it as real as possible, as authentic as possible. It's not a documentary, it's not real, but we try to give to the audience the sense that when they watch it, it's almost like being inside a documentary. So even when you watch it, Tushar, when you are looking at Fauda, you almost can smell the smell of the surroundings of the heroes of this show, although it's TV and you cannot smell anything. But this is what we're trying to push. So of course we are trying to be inspired by true stories, people that we've met, people that we heard about, people that we know about, and of course our personal experiences.
Right.
Every time that you meet anyone, there's some kind of an interesting story that he has to tell, and you can be inspired by his own journey to take it to Fauda.
Also, it's very tempting, Lior, to sort of incorporate real life incidents when you've gone through so much, right? It's very tempting because you can draw, it's real inspiration. Where does one draw a line when you become a creator? You have to draw a sort of line, maybe, okay, this is too personal, or how does that come? Because the temptation to put out everything that you've experienced growing up, right? You've also been in the defense forces. How do you both decide that?
So actually the temptation is the opposite. You don't want to say anything. You want to keep it to yourself. You don't want to open wounds. You don't want to open your heart. This is exactly the opposite, because you're trying to protect yourself. But I think through creation and through working process and actually friendship that we have, so we are opening our wounds slowly and step by step. And then we're getting inside them, and then we have to go deep inside in order to make it a show or a script. You have to go deep inside to understand your emotional needs and emotional things that happened to you back in the day. So your first instinct is to control it and protect yourself. But I think the best thing to do is actually to open it and open the wounds that you have, and to put it on the table.
Right. And Avi, when was the first time you realized that the show has become such a huge international hit? It's not limited to a language or a region or a certain age of audience. It's just become a massive cult. When was the first time you realized that? At an airport, or when you were traveling, or when you were out?
I still didn't get it till today. I think that every time it happens to us, it surprises me. Every time that we come somewhere new and people recognize Leo and heard about Fauda, it's exciting. Even now that when we came to India, the officer in the immigration in the airport recognized Leo and said he watched Fauda 3 times. And
wow,
I was shocked. I couldn't believe that this guy is watching a show that once upon a time, like 12 years ago, we started to write out of just let's try and do something together. So it's a great surprise time after time, and I love it. I think that the first time that it really happened to me is when some media outlets American media outlets started to write about Fauda, and wow, okay, they've been watching the show.
Right. And Lior, how protective and possessive are you both of this work? Because I can imagine you must have got a lot of requests from makers around the world to obviously want to buy the rights or incorporate or do their own version. Like now in India, we have Tanav, which is getting some great reviews. The audience is really loving what they're watching. How do you decide and how do you make that decision of this is something that I can trust the maker with, or this is the same vision that we've had?
I think nobody can have the same version that we have. It's very hard to make Fauda in different places in the world because the conflict is very specific. The conflict of
Yes.
Fauda is very specific, and you have to have a place that people getting undercover to a different places infiltrate in order to it's something that is very near home. So the ingredients that we have in Fauda is very hard to imitate in other places in the world. Just for example, to have an undercover team that going in America to Afghanistan, right? It's a long way. They have to be there like for months. In our show in Fauda, what's beautiful that their homes is like you go to an operation, you come back home. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
So it's very hard, and it's supposed to be a very unique and a good script.
Absolutely. And, Avi, I want to speak to you a bit about the fact that the world is getting smaller. I mean, artists, actors, producers, we are all exchanging ideas irrespective of the language and the boundaries that we had. Are you aware of the buzz that this Indian film RRR has created internationally? And have you been able to watch it and the buzz at the Oscars around it?
I wasn't aware of the buzz around the Oscars, but yes, of course, we know about the potential of this industry and about how big it is, how big is the market, how many people are watching TV and are interested and looking for more and more interesting content. And I think that understanding that this is a very international market those days, in understanding that our strength, our unique point of view is to bring a special story, not necessarily from Israel or not necessarily from the US or Africa, but to bring a characters-driven show that its own story is fascinating, so you can easily adapt it to places like India or the US or every other place in the world.
Right. And Lior, are there any common threads that you can find between Israeli culture or life and the Indian life or the Indian entertainment industry or the movies? Is there anything common?
I think with the people for sure, because we are both very emotional and we are saying what we think, and we're living in conflict zone all the time. And I think I don't know about the Israelis. I think it's about me and Avi. I think the spiritual people that we are and you are very connected and very general. But I think, and the industry, I think that the market and the industry in India is much bigger than in Israel. We are a tiny country. We are having like 9 million people in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little bit more. So the industry,
A lot more.
yeah, is replicate the society. So you have so many shows and so many movies that you're doing every year. In Israel, it's a tiny place in the world, and it's tiny industry.
Right. And how aware are you both of social media and the expectations of fans? Today, everything is on the social media. Before a new season, fans have these theories of characters or they want the makers to go in a certain way. Do you guys keep a pulse on what are the fan expectations? Because it's become a show of the fans now.
First of all, social media, this is the place that we can hear the real people, right? Not critics. It's not people from the industry. It's real people watching the show and want to say something. This is why I have so many followers from India on my Instagram. It's crazy. I'm getting people, and sometimes I'm answering if it's a very good question or interesting relationship that we can develop in the industry. So I think this is the place that we hear everything, and it's beautiful. And the show that we are writing is we're not thinking about the fans. we're thinking about the script, we're thinking about the drama, we're thinking about to make a good show, a good movie. And we're doing our best. We're doing the best thing that we can ever do. If it's good and people loves it and the audience loves it, it's amazing. But we cannot do other things that are the best that we can do, if you know what I mean.
Right. And Avi, I mean, apart from this whole serious image that you guys have about the show, what are the kind of films that you enjoy? Like, are you somebody who puts on a rom-com on a weekend and like just enjoys or has a laugh, or you're like all for a Jim Carrey movie? What are the kind of films that you enjoy watching?
Usually it's
You see?
Oh, okay. There you go.
usually it's what I enjoy the most is more or less the same stuff that we're doing, you know, thrillers, espionage, realistic materials. But I gotta be honest, that, you know, only between us, I love kind of those romantic American movies about Christmas and about New Year's Eve,
Really?
and it's between us.
So you're a softie at heart.
Yeah, and I have a teenage daughter, and she's 16,
Ah.
so she loves this stuff, and I love watching it with her.
That explains it. No more said. I also want to get a quick word from you guys on the new season. I mean, there is so much excitement and buzz around that. I know you can't say much, and that's the question you get asked, but what can you tell us?
It's going to be much more dark, I think. Dark season. I think it's gonna the women character are going to be much more stronger. We're going to explore much more of the other characters of the show, not just Dawn. And we're going to move around the globe. It's not just going to be in Israel. It's going to be in Belgium. It's going to be in Lebanon. And that's it.
Okay.
I must say that because I really like those nice romantic comic movies, I tried really hard to push it to that direction, but it
we
didn't
pushed
work.
back. We pushed back.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
I believe you on that. I'll try and make that believe. On that note, thank you so much for speaking to India today. It's such a pleasure. Absolute fan of the show, and I can't wait for the new season. Hoping next time you're in India, there's a Bollywood dance or a romantic track involved. You never know.
Oh, yeah, we already did it, but you didn't ask, so we won't dance. Next interview, we'll dance.
Damn it. We'll do it in person then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Bye-bye.